Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Eduard. So this is a 1/48 scale kit and it copies Spitfire Mk.IIa. And note that this is a Profipack release, so no more we will be having the orange boxes. Here we have the brass on the top, we have black line on the bottom, and that's the new design which will be from now on, and we will be getting all the Profipacks just like that. And this is a commercial sample, so it means you will get exactly the same stuff as what you will see in this video review. So we are going to check it together and see what is actually included in this new box. So first of all, we have really nice box art here, and here you can see comparison with my hand. It's a standard box size, just the overall style changed. And here on the side we have some information about the manufacturer, barcode, and of course some safety advices in 2 languages. And on the other side there should be 5 marking options which are included into this kit. So we will check them also in assembly manual. They should be as a separate painting guide, so no worries. This is a top loading box, so just give me a second to open it. Here it is. And we have several plastic bags, so sprues are separated into several bags. There is plenty of space inside, so I really doubt that something will arrive to you in a damaged condition. As you can see, mine sprues are completely intact, so I don't think something will be damaged in your kit. And we are going to start with something what was on the top, so that's the clear sprue, which was packed into a separate plastic bag in order to avoid any unnecessary scratches. Here you can take a closer look at what is included here. So we have several types of the canopy. Obviously you will be using only one pair of these parts. And note that there is a different type of the parts depending whether you would like to open the cockpit or not. And of course this is a Profipack, so we get masks as a standard inclusion into this kit. You don't have to buy anything, and it comes as a standard package, and it means you will get nice paint work and without spending extra money. So now I'm going to open the next plastic bag. And it's a resealable plastic bag, so basically you can store sprues there, and there will be some spare parts, so definitely that's a handy feature. And just give me a second, I'll bring this gray plastic sprue on the table. Here it is. Let's place it like this, and we zoom in a bit. So now you can see here we have fuselage halves. Both are molded together with tail fin, and both are molded together with this top cowling section. I'm not sure why we're still getting it as a element which is separated into 2 halves. I would rather prefer to have it as a single piece part, which would be easier to install, and of course it will give you a better looking result. But here we can zoom in even more so that you can see that we have here a nice molding quality with rivets and recessed panel lines. The same can be found here on this sprue. And of course you can also get some additional brushing sets, for example for the engine or maybe the radio station, which will be installed here and there, and you have to modify the original plastic fuselage halves accordingly. As you can see, we have this special recessed, I would say, borders, which will make it easier to cut the necessary plastic section for installation of the new resin sets, which we will be getting separately. And note there are also the guiding pins, so it will be easy to align all this stuff together. There is not that much of the cockpit details, because cockpit will be assembled separately and then just inserted in between these fuselage halves, just like in the previous versions of this famous British fighter from Eduard. Next we continue with slightly bigger plastic sprue, so here it is. Let's place it like that. So here we have some parts for the tail section, it means tail wings, and also here surprisingly we get cockpit wall. We also have a propeller, ailerons, and 2 more propeller types here. So I think we can open the lenses a bit, zoom in, and check what is included here. So we have several exhaust stacks, and tail wings are also here. Obviously the external features are the same as what we saw on the fuselage. Next we continue with some parts for wings, ailerons. Here we continue with 2 more propellers, more tail wings, and these 2 parts will be used for the propeller as well. We have more of the exhaust here, 1 of the cockpit panels or cockpit walls, and external fuel tank, which comes as a single piece part, which is really cool because it will help you get a more convincing result without any unnecessary gaps in this area. And by the way, tail wings, they are built out of 2 halves. Here you can see we have guiding elements, so pay attention to these parts while gluing them together. Next we have this sprue with wing parts, and overall parts design is typical for such part of the aircraft. So we have 2 top halves and 1 bottom, and note that ailerons are molded separately, but flaps are molded in case you would like to replicate them in a dropped position. You will have to get the aftermarket PE set, which is sold by Eduard separately, and of course it will require some minor modifications in the original plastic. It means you will have to cut off these molded in sections, and we can zoom in so that you can see that here we have recessed panel lines and rivets, which look really nice. They won't be lost under several layers of paint and primer, but still be sure not to overdo, because it is always possible to get something under thick layer of paint. But it is deep enough to be visible under the camouflage, which is properly airbrushed on the model. So here inside you can see some guiding elements, but no worries, these parts will be also aligned with help of fuselage halves, wing roots, so that's why there are not that many pins in these parts. Just give me a second, I'm going to open the next plastic bag, which carries 2 final plastic sprues with various elements for the aircraft. Okay, so here it is. Let's zoom in a bit. So now you can see that here we have this famous chin panel. Also we have rudder, 2 types of it, another type of the tail wings, ailerons, but these ones won't be used in today's version as far as I can guess. We also have some parts for the tail landing gear and also for the main landing gear. For example, here are the wheels, and somewhere in that side, actually here we have main landing gear legs. Let's zoom in even more so that you can see what do we have here. So these panels will be used for the air intakes, which are placed on the wing. Here we continue with landing gear wheels, and just like in the previous Spitfire kits, here you can replace landing gear wheels with resin counterparts from Eduard, obviously, so they will cost some extra money, but it's absolutely worth it because it will bring you a better looking result. Here we continue with tail wings, elevators, also landing gear covers, some parts for the open cockpit. So these are actually the panels which are openable on your model in order to replicate the open cockpit ready to be seated for the pilot. And here we continue with the chin panel, wing tips, also rudders and propeller hub. Everything looks completely fine. As you can see, there is no molding damage whatsoever, no other molding problems which can appear in some kits, so it's just a matter of careful separation and you will be good to go. Next we continue with another plastic sprue. That's actually the last gray plastic sprue. So here we have cockpit parts, we also have 2 more types of the exhausts, and also machine gun barrels and propellers. So let's zoom in and take a closer look again. So for these bulkheads, I would recommend to drill out all the holes. As you can see, they come shut, so you will have to use a drill bit in order to get the necessary size of the holes. Next we continue with exhausts. Here we have some minor barrels for machine guns in wings. There are also 2 parts for the propeller. We also continue with some separate panels for the main landing gear wheel well. There are also several types of the instrument panel, because you can use the pre-molded dials one with decals, or you can use the plain one with PE parts. And here we continue with some minor elements such as pilot seat and various handles, which will be installed in the cockpit. So that's all for the plastic sprues. We can move on to the various bonuses which come in typical Profipack. So that means we have masks and PE thread. So first of all, we start with photo edge. Just give me a second. I'll remove it out of the plastic bag. And here straight away I can say that we have pre-painted photo edge thread, and there is also a replication of the glasses on the dials. That's really important. I would say it's noticeable in 1/48 scale. Here you can see it on the bright light, so it's not some extra feature which won't be visible in the cockpit. We also have seat belts, some air intake meshes which will be applied outside, obviously, and that's also a good thing because this part of the aircraft is also visible on the finished model, so it's really crucial to have a proper mesh instead of just a plastic copying this mesh. Next we have another tiny plastic bag with mask sheet. So these masks are pre-cut, here you can see them, and as far as you can see they should be used not only with Canopy but also with landing gear wheels, but we will check in assembly manual as well. And next we have, let's zoom out a bit. So here we have this plastic bag with decals. There are 2 decal sheets, so again I'm going to open it and we will take a closer look together. Of course, both decal sheets are printed in Eduard, so printing quality is really nice. And just to remind you, we have 5 marking options here. So here is the, let's say, main decal sheet, which carries all necessary symbols for these 5 marking options. We have roundels, we have also segmentation, which would make it easier to get the right symbols without having to cut through the whole decal sheet. And note that we also have these decals for the cockpit. So in case you are not fan of PE parts, you can use these decals, but in my opinion that's really strange not to use such nice parts. And the separate decal sheet is provided for stencils, so do not be lazy, apply all these symbols because they're noticeable and visible on 1/48 scale kit, so your model will only benefit from such addition. Here we continue with assembly manual, so let's zoom out a bit. And as for the assembly manual, I guess we can close the lenses a bit so that it won't be that bright. And this assembly manual is finished in a slightly different style. As you remember, before we had a short history note. Here we have history note for 1 page. Yeah, only on 1 page, but still it is more than in the previous Profipacks. Next we continue with the parts map, and note how many parts won't be used, so pay attention to what you will be installing on your aircraft so that you have the right elements in place. Assembly process starts with the cockpit, and if you assembled any of the previous Spitfire kits from Eduard, you will be quite familiar with what is done here. So basically you assemble the separate sub-assembly of the cockpit, and then it will be enclosed between fuselage halves. So I would say that's quite an interesting sequence, which is really handy because it lets you to, let's say, focus on the cockpit elements a bit more, to get some weathering there, and it makes it easier to reach various things. Next we continue with wing assembly. So manufacturer proposes to assemble first wing by joining all these 3 parts together, assembling the main wheel well, and then joining the fuselage together with wing. But of course you can also try to align these 2 top halves by joining the lower half with the fuselage and then installing the top halves. But it's up to you, it's more of the modeler preferences on which sequence you prefer in your kit. So next we continue with ailerons and wing tips. Here we install air intake, so as you can see PE parts employed from both sides. And next, more tiny bits installed in the air intake. We have also 2 positions open or closed for the air intake. We assemble landing gear wheels. Here we install landing gear wheels with wax on the necessary spots. The same goes on with the tail section. And note that tail landing gear wheel is molded separately, what should make it easier to paint it and then get the nice paint finish. Next we have a canopy assembly. So I'm just trying to understand, I guess this is a handle for this movable section, and in case you would like to replicate it in open position, you will have to use such option. And as you remember, these exhausts are molded separately. That's also quite a handy feature because it will let you paint them before installation on the aircraft. And next here we have assembly option for the closed canopy. So as you can see, we use this one piece main section canopy part. And of course, do not forget about these lines or antennas which are prolonged from the tail wing to the fuselage from both sides. Next, we continue. By the way, this is IFF system as far as I remember. Next, we continue with masks. So as I said, we will have masks for landing gear wheels and also for the canopy. Here we have first two marking options. One is from April 1941, another one is from August 1941. And next we continue August and November, the same year. And one more here, January 1942, and last two pages are dedicated to stenciling guide for this aircraft. So again, small reminder, apply all these stencils because they look nice in 1/48 scale. As for today's kit, it should be already available. You can get it on official Eduard website. And of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about this kit. Write it here in the comment section below. And if you like this video, do not forget to press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!